why they are starting to put their stamp on this National Basketball League competition. Everybody that comes in to the game for the Perth Wildcats on the same page. Robbins to Luke Neville. Luke Neville starting to fit into this team as well. As Wagstaff sprays the three down, getting the first score of the second quarter for Perth.
And an interesting philosophy from Rob Beveridge too. He's got his entire bench on at the same time. I guess they practice that way. They feel comfortable with how they play their roles in that second string team. But on the Gold Coast, between De Leon, Petrie and Hoare, a 0 from 11 in the first quarter, Steve.
Wow. Yeah, that's it. Mark Worthington with 9 and Gibson with 9. As you mentioned, the only 2 scorers for the Blaze. Worthington losing the handle, comes up with the jump shot. That's good. Kind of a jump, kind of guided, almost hook shot.
It was a tough move, but a really bad offensive set for the Gold Coast Blaze when they're down 10.
They throw it up in the air again for Luke Neville, and the Perth Wildcats are starting to find their big 7'2" center more often. De Leon trying to find someone. Brad Robbins, good trail in the play. Got himself back into it after he was beaten. Wagstaff trying to give Mark Worthington in a bit closer. He traveled first, kind of slid the pivot foot.
That's a good call too. Thought it was good defense from Worthington in the post. Good move from Wagstaff, but certainly dragged that pivot foot.
Brad Robbins up and in, and De Leon loses it.
They are the little things that Brad Robbins and Damian Martin does to make their team better. I'm not sure how much De Leon knows about the Perth Wildcats and what he was getting himself in for this game, but you have to be mentally prepared for the way these guards are going to play against you, because they are relentless from the time they throw it up to the time that final buzzer goes.
Drew Williamson for 3. We spoke about him coming off the bench, and he's got one thing on his mind. He gets an opportunity, gets his feet set, gets an open look, and he drills it. Takes Perth lead out to 13 as they come out on fire here in the second quarter. 33-20 with 8:41 to go in the second.
Hungry Jack's introduces premium choices. To show you how tasty they are, we've added multiple camera angles to our Swiss cheese, a big sizzling effect to our new extra thick Angus beef, our tricky focus pull to our juicy mushrooms. We're so proud of these ingredients, we've included them all in the name. Introducing the Swiss Mushroom Angus XT and the Barbecue Bacon Angus XT. Part of our new Better Tastes menu. Hungry Jack's makes it better.
Let's go 12-2 here. 12-2, one possession only. Keep mixing up our defense. 3-2-1.
Perth Wildcats coming in, blazing away, pardon the pun, on the Gold Coast.
This is going to be an interesting stage of the game for the Gold Coast players. Down 13 points, only a minute into the second quarter. They really have to stay together. The body language hasn't been great after missed shots and turnovers against this relentless Perth defense that we keep speaking about.
Worthington lines up his 3 ball. It's off the back of the iron. Damian Martin drags it in. He's already got 4 rebounds. He is everywhere. Every game. Luke Neville, good ball pressure on him by Stephen Wagstaff. Showing you he's got the ability to stick it at the 3-point line as well as work the post. Perth go up 15.
And that's why there's such a tough matchup, because they can contribute from 1 to 10. And everybody comes in with the same amount of confidence, understanding their roles, but the belief that they can be able to contribute on the offensive end as well.
Petrie has it ripped by Damian Martin.
And you don't see that happen to Petrie too often. He's a strong man, Damian Martin, for a guard.
We've spoken about how strong Petrie is.
Oh, Petrie's a man, and that's what I'm saying. You don't see that happen.
Gibson looking for a teammate. There's Petrie. De Leon's got to get it off, but he doesn't get it off in time.
And again, good defense from Perth. They played a zone defense on that out-of-bounds play. Gold Coast threw it in, and automatically they doubled it on the first pass. Very difficult when you're that man being doubled against the zone.
Well, they forced the turnover.
They almost set him up to want the ball passed in that direction, knowing there wasn't a lot of time left on the shot clock. The spider in the web.
Higher back in for the Wildcats. Got some good service out of him in the first quarter. Wagstaff puts it on the floor. Tough little runner over the outstretched arm. Some good defense by Tommy Garland.
And this is a 17-point margin, Steve. And it will take a mindset that is going to be a lot stronger than what they're showing at the moment from the Blaze to be able to get out of this.
De Leon, good look at the three-point line, comes up short. Luke Neville pulls down the board. He's fouled by Worthington.
This is what we spoke about at the start of the game. If the Blaze continue to blaze away from the three-point line, they're playing a dangerous game against the Wildcats because it'll be running down their throat and they will continue to build on this lead.
Well, if that foul wasn't called, Perth had numbers down there and they were kicking it ahead. They are a machine.
And I like this change-up from Joey. He needed to make an adjustment. He has. They've gone to a little 1-2-2 match-up zone. Don't be surprised to see Leash come straight back into the lineup to be able to break this zone apart.
Higher. Extra pass to Drew Williamson, who's already hit a three. Nails another one.
And that's how you shoot the ball with confidence when you're shooting 24% for the season.
De Leon drags the feet or the foot and picks up a travel.
And again, we talk about building leads, and they've continued to do a Perth out to 20 points.
They've scored the last 12 on that three by Drew Williamson. And he's ready to jack another one, too. You got to get out there on him. Matthew Knight fouled from behind.
And in the background, viewers probably didn't see it, but Kevin Lish, he hasn't played a whole lot of time, but he's the first one up on the bench, clapping for his teammate that's just got to the line. He was the cheerleader, and it's all about the team winning, and you can just tell that in their body language, the ability to be able to accept a role, play less court time, but to be able to have a chance to be able to win a championship, because you can see that they were hurt by the way they lost in that game 3 against New Zealand last year.
That's the man right there, leading the team in scoring. I don't think anybody's that, as a ball player, is happy to sit on the bench, but you're happy for your teammates and happy that your team is playing well. And that's probably why he's first one up, and that is a good feeling to be a part of something like that.
Well, and particularly from an American, Steve. And I say that with all the respect to the Americans, but it's easier to get Australians to play a role for the betterment of team success. It's not always the same with Americans trying to play for contracts year after year, earn the money they can when they're living away from home, and a lot of Americans don't think that way, but Kevin Lish certainly is against that mold.
And Perth have just created a great culture out there. They've got the players that get the job done, and it's a very close-knit team. They're very good on the road, as a lot of Perth Wildcats teams have been. And even through different administration and coaching staffs, they continue to go on the road and be successful with those long plane flights.
I don't know how they go home.
I hope they get some.
They must get used to it.
Exit seats. Golding. Perth with the double team. A little too aggressive.
And that's how aggressive they are, the Perth Wildcats. Their rotations were perfect. They double-teamed Chris Golding. They knew exactly where the next rotation was coming from. And it's hard for somebody like Chris Golding at the moment. He's not in great form. He's trying to find his confidence, but he's not going to get an open shot against this sort of defense.
Gibson creates some space for himself and gets the score.
Damien Martin getting off the floor saying, I just got bullied.
He doesn't get bullied very often. He doesn't say much.
Not legally, anyway.
Something must have happened.
Uh-oh.
Redditch. Will with a big collision. We got to travel. That was always going to be an interesting call.
That was like in the AFL terms, that was a hospital pass because Golding got thrown the ball right here when Hudson really didn't recognise that the Perth defence was set and Golding had no idea that it was coming.
He shouldn't be looking at the refs and talking to them. He should be looking at Will Hudson.
No doubt. It's like, don't give me that, pal. You set me up.
Well, it was the lesser of two evils. It could have been a block. Well, I don't think it was a block. He was there. Could have been a charge. He gets the travel. Knight misses the layup. Good help from Mark Worthington, making it difficult for him.
Good little pick and roll, too, from Lish and Knight.
Gibson, who's been solid here in the first half. Golding, maybe they'll break the drought. Now it's an air ball.
And that's just the confidence that he's playing with at the moment, Steve, because he is a very good shooter, Chris Golding. Just a little bit out of sorts, and we all go through those stages throughout our career, and sometimes it's very difficult to be able to get out of.
Martin misses the three. Perth trying to tip it to one another. Gibson with numbers to Golding. Trying to get his teammate going. Yes, he does. Finally, the drought is broken by the rest of the Gold Coast Blaze. That's the first score by someone other than Mark Worthington or Adam Gibson. Those two guys on 11 each, and now Golding gets on the board, and he'll go to the line to try and complete a three-point play. Big time in the game for the Gold Coast. Let's listen in to Joey Wright.
All right, look, we talked about before getting them out of a rhythm, all right? We let them in a rhythm a couple minutes ago, into that first quarter and the beginning of the second, all right? They were in a rhythm. You've broken that rhythm, all right, by changing up the defense. Well, change up again, but once again, we can't screw ourselves, okay? We're starting off right here. We're going to Texas on the first pass. We're starting off in zone, all right? Texas on the first pass, all right? So get out here, set it. Get out here and set it, huh? I want red up the court on this, all right? Turn up the intensity. Look, we played passive, and we were down 20 points. What do you got to lose? All right, play aggressive, maybe you get back in it.
See, I like that timeout from Rob Beveridge. They were up 20 points. Gold Coast scored 4 straight. Straight away, he stops the run and makes them start again. When the Gold Coast get running, they're that sort of team. They can run off 10 points as well. When somebody like Chris Golding gets a layup, and it was probably a conscious decision from Gibson as well to be able to get Golding that pass. Gibson has 45 assists this season to only 17 turnovers. 2.5 to 1 is just an amazing effort from a guard in this league.
And that, you know, that proves your point that you've mentioned before when we talk about teams that need an extra ball carrier, needed an extra point guard. And that Adam Gibson is doing a great job of playing the one, but that relief that he gets from De Leon coming gives him a lot of help. That was a travel.
It was definitely a travel.
Took 3 steps without putting it, even thinking about putting it on the floor. Turnover to the Wildcats. Adam Gibson goes upstairs and lays it in. And now it's the Gold Coast Blaze on a 5-0 run and trying to put the pressure on the Wildcats. Toby tonight. Martin outside the three-point line, comes up short. Gold Coast with another stop. Here they come in transition. Worthington with a no-look pass. Bit of a mental error. Perth with numbers. Lish with the finish. Again, Perth Wildcats off a turnover, make you pay.
They just kill you on turnovers. And again, the Gold Coast had the right mindset. Worthington pushing the ball in transition. Just not a well-executed pass.
Gibson waits for the screen. Worthington for 3. That's off the mark. Knight tries to run it down, but it's knocked out of bounds by Tommy Garlick.
And Worthington just kicking himself, missing that shot. Had an open one. Really good screen set by Tommy Garlick to be able to play that 2-on-1 on the weak side.
Wildcats look like they've weathered the storm. Redditch at the three-point line. Just like that, Perth back in command with an 18-point lead.
They just come at you with so many different angles, Steve.
Petrie, that would have counted if it went down.
Good take from Petrie. He's that sort of player that he really can take bigger opponents. That time it was another guard in Tovey, but he has the ability to be able to pull through so strong to the basket.
Greg Heyer back in for the Wildcats. Let's have a look at the field goals on the bottom of the screen. Blaze at 10 of 31.
32% versus 51.
I give the Perth Wildcats some credit. Blaze missed a lot of open looks early in the match. It's kind of like when you miss shots against Perth, then they just sense that you're rattled and they start getting into you even more.
There's a travel. They got that one.
Heyer's probably thinking, man, I watched 3 travels worse than that one from the bench.
Pick on the young fella.
Kadee with Lish on him, and Lish is a handy defender as well. We'll give a lot of credit to Robbins. This layup, Matt Knight's out of bounds.
Good offense from the Blaze. See that time Garliff just kicking himself and missing the easy one. Good pass from Hudson, being able to find him cutting back door. Garliff hasn't played a lot of minutes this year, Steve, and I guess with so many people in that position, they really are so heavy in that four-man position, and the rotations have been hard. He's been squeezed out, but with things not going their way, Joey Wright's thrown him in the lineup to see what he can create, because he's that sort of player that can really make things happen in a short period of time.
And sometimes you got to, we always talk about teams playing too many people, and he'd be the victim of that. You got to get some type of rotation. De Leon with a step back, can't get it to go. Will Hudson with a strong move on the glass. Some great D, gets it to go off the leg of Will Hudson on the putback.
Yeah, terrific block from Big Matty Knight. And that's how Will Hudson has to get himself into the game. Offensive rebounds, really going after. He knows his team, they're not shooting that well, 32%. Plenty of missed shots for him to be able to go and get.
Heyer slips. Lish trying to create some space for himself. Now, Heyer went down, and I've seen injuries happen like that where the leg slides out and the knee goes towards the ground first. Interior cruciate. Let's hope he hasn't strained that or anything along those lines.
Substitution in the NBL press plays, number 1, Adam Gibson.
Well, he's young. He has that on his side.
That's true. 10 players have scored for the Perth Wildcats. Leading scorer, Wagstaff, off the bench with 7. All the way down to 2 points.
Well, we keep talking about Perth and New Zealand, and they have that in common. They often have 5 players in double figures in a win. Worthington can't get the finish. Here comes Perth with numbers. Robbins. Redditch puts it on the floor.
See that last pass from Robbins. He did the right thing. The shot always shows opposite on the fast break, but he just gave it up a little bit too quick as we see Perth Wildcats 24 points off the bench to the Blaze 3. But Lish was open. Robbins just needed to take one more extra dribble. Lish would have had his feet set and would have been a 3 in transition.
Good pass by Robbins. He gets it to Matthew Knight on a cross-court bounce pass.
Good team basketball again, and that's what Knight brings to the table, being able to shoot that shot all the way out to the 3 for a big fella.
Lish on a perfectly timed pass to a streaking Matthew Knight.
Isn't it nice when your 5-man hits a shot just inside the 3-point line and then leads the break and finishes on the left hand?
It sure is. Or he blocks the shot and then he finishes the play. That's always nice too. Kadee gets it to Petrie. Kadee with the launching the long three with 2 on the shot clock. Had to get it up. Damian Martin just goes and grabs the ball.
He literally steals it, Steve.
You know when you have to worry about him is when you can't see him. Because he's coming.
He's definitely coming. He's not worried about defensive transition and safety positions. He's going to the offensive boards all the time. Other people take that responsibility because he is so good at getting in for the offensive boards. And on that occasion, whenever you're a big guy, you would have to be worried about where he's at.
Last one.
And he's the type of player that you'd have to stat him. Like if you were saying, what type of player is he? How good is he? All that type of stuff. And you know that he's involved in everything. But you'd have to stat him across the board to know exactly how good. And you know, and of course, all the things that he does don't show up in stats either.
Well, the thing that we found in Sydney is a similar player was Chris Williams, because he just played a game, played it so well, but in so many different categories. And it wasn't until we actually statted him in his tryouts that you realised his steals, his assists, his rebounds, his points, the way he played D. The whole lot, it was incredible how he just accumulated at all facets of the game.
They throw it upstairs to Neville again, creates some space, can't get the finish. But the entire Perth bench up. They're up 49-31, but they're all up on the Luke Neville play, cheering their teammate.
And the Wildcats have done a good job of being able to utilise the size against much smaller oppositions. They keep running pick and rolls. They bring out the 4-man and then they try and roll it inside or throw it up high to the big fella.
Boy, if they're allowed to just mesh in the abilities of a 7'2" guy as well as the other things they've got going, that's going to be a very tough team to beat. No control on that tip. That's why Lish was able to go into the backcourt without it being a violation. Luke Neville with the jam. He's starting to feel more and more confident as his teammates start to look for him.
And you can just see the rotations aren't on song for the Gold Coast tonight. You can't give up a dunk against a set defense like that.
Gibson, there's a violation of some sort. Adam Gibson has to shoot a long when he does get some rim. Worthington on the baseline.
I had him in front of me. I couldn't see.
Joey Wright talking to Roger Shields about that violation that wasn't called on a kick. Gibson trying to find De Leon. Well read by Drew Williamson. Gibson with the steal.